Let's call to order the Green Bay Housing Authority meeting for Thursday, June 19th, 2025. It's 10:30 a.m. We are here in room 604 at City Hall. We've got the roll call set up already. Let's move to approval of the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion, and is there a second? Second. A motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any additions or corrections, just to make sure we got everything covered? None? Hearing none, so all in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item D, approval of minutes from the February 2025 meeting of the Green Bay Housing Authority.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to regular business. Item number 1, consideration with possible action to consider Monroe Plaza Housing 1 LLC's formal request to the Housing Authority of the City of Green Bay to consider an initial resolution number 25-01 relating to the acquisition and rehabilitation of an existing 197-unit apartment complex located at 400 North Monroe Avenue in the City of Green Bay to be used for senior housing. And that resolution is in
your packet, right. So, again, the Housing Authority has the ability to statutorily to issue bonds for housing projects. So we've been asked, in the past, we've issued bonds for the Gateway Collective Project, and then a couple out on the university campus, up high, University Village Housing, Inc., for some projects that we've issued bonds. Bonds are attractive, right, to developers because they're tax exempt, right? We get a revenue fee when we do this bonding process. We have an annual fee that comes along with these bonds, so it's a plus to the Housing Authority to work with the developer as well as seeing these projects, right, be completed and developed. This is an existing project with a remodel that the request is being made from, and we have here today Attorney Linda Templin is working on this project along with Michael Arman, who is the representative from SDG Housing Partners. And I think if we could open the floor, they could give the presentation on what they plan to do with this building. This is 400 Monroe Plaza downtown.
Make that motion to open the floor. Is
I'll
there a
second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Floor is open.
All right, the floor is open. Michael, if you want to, we have your PowerPoint up if you wanted to walk us through that.
Yes, will do. Thank you all for allowing us to present our proposed project today, Monroe Plaza Apartments. We are very excited about the opportunity and possibility to renovate and modernize this existing 100% affordable property. My name is Michael Arman. I am the Director of Development for SDG Housing Partners, the developer and the affiliate of the incoming ownership entity for Monroe Plaza. Do you mind going to the next slide? Awesome. Thank you.
This one?
So here's the table of contents. I'll keep it quick. This is what we'll go over. Just the property overview, our team, the management team, the key principles within the SDG, our standard renovation scope. I'll walk you through a quick renovation example that we've done, our request, and then the reference letter. So, property overview. So the property is conveniently located in downtown and is approximately 4 blocks from the riverfront and a short walk to the convention center. The address is 411 Monroe Ave. It's a 10-story senior tower. It's built in 1975. A total of 197 units, all 1 bedrooms, and 100% project-based Section 8. Historically, very strong occupancy there. The most recent rent roll, we're at 97% occupied, and it is solely for seniors that are over 62 and/or individuals that have disabilities. All right, so for the experience, a little background and mission of SDG Housing Partners. SDG Housing Partners was founded to renovate and preserve affordable housing with the will and passion to recreate communities to the highest standards to make a difference for the residents of the property and the community at large by providing exceptional quality housing. The principles of SDG Housing Partners have completed over 45 acquisitions and rehabs of affordable housing properties in California, Texas, Kansas, Tennessee, and Missouri. Most recently, we completed the acquisition of 4 affordable senior towers in Missouri. Here are some of our recent projects. So, we can kind of start at the bottom. Clarion Park, Hickory Forest, and Bridgebrook, we finished the rehab at the end of the year, so those are fully stabilized now. And then Washington Apartments and Walnut in the top left, those 2 are under construction in various stages, and the remaining 3 messenger towers, Allen Market Lane and Parkview Place, will be closing in Q3 here very shortly. All have received low-income housing tax credits, so we have the award, which is working on the syndication closing, and will be commencing construction immediately upon close. On the next slide goes into just kind of a deeper dive into our experience, which includes all properties that SDG Housing has acquired and redeveloped. So it's just a little more detail of the projects, unit size, location, the type of financing, the tenant population, and the total project cost. To date, we own all these. Our plan is to redevelop and manage these properties for the long term, and we are long-term investors here. So we focus heavily on the quality of the rehab to prevent future operation and maintenance issues. Go to the next slide, thank you. So for property management, one thing we like to focus on is to make sure we have a highly regarded local-based management company. When I was out in Green Bay earlier this year, I walked nearly every affordable housing project in the neighborhood to get an understanding of the care and how different management companies maintain these assets. In my opinion, it was very evident to me that the properties managed by ACC were kept in superior shape compared to some of the other prospective management companies in the area. After interviewing them, walking the site, showing them our vision, it was clear that we wanted to move forward with them as the management agent for this project. They have a very impressive and strong expertise in affordable housing. Most of their portfolio, all the units they manage are located in Wisconsin. Over 9,300 units and just under 250 total properties. And then there's just a little more information about ACC management group there as well. So for the key principles, Rick unfortunately was not able to attend today. He is currently on a plane. He's a family man. His brother they just had a baby this morning, so he's flying out to Boston as we speak. So he apologized that he couldn't be here. But Rick has been in the affordable space for 20 years now on the development side. One thing I'd like to highlight is his background in architecture. This is what differentiates us from a lot of other competing developers. He has a keen attention to detail and plan processing, which is ultimately the backbone to our success as it results in housing of superior quality. And this will be highlighted later in the deck with some photos of some of our rehabs. And then for the next principal is Lon Bohr. He is the other partner. He's out of our Kansas City office. Rick and Lon have been longtime friends, both growing up in St. Louis together and doing architectural work together prior to SDG. So right when Rick started SDG in 2016, Lon was the first one to join him, and ever since then they've been running very strong. So for the standard renovation, so this is kind of like our baseline scope for our rehabs. So for the building exterior improvements, we'll include installation of new windows, installation of a new energy efficient full roof, a new entry porch with key fob entry system and enhanced security system, with covered pergola seating area at the drop-off driveway, painting and tuck pointing of the building, and new light fixtures and signage. As well, for the common area improvements, we, the goal here is to create amenities and a social gathering place for the tenants in order to help provide them with a more social and be more active within events and activities within the community. So we like to have an enhanced TV area with a seating area, billiards table, card tables, bingo tables, things of that nature, a library and seating area. Make sure everything is ADA accessible. We'll modernize the elevators, remodel community kitchen, computer stations, and a renovated mail room. And just kind of filling a bit more of the common areas. This will also include security, camera upgrades, access control to the property, renovated laundry rooms, upgraded management office, new light fixtures, paint, flooring, themed artwork at each floor, upgraded resident services office, as well as an upgraded fire alarm system, new furnishings, and new fitness and yoga room. Site work improvements will that will include new lighting at the building and the parking lot, new parking lot surface and striping, new site gates, access points for key fobs to help on the security side. We like to include resident gardens and lush and colorful landscaping surrounding the property, as well as further security cameras, dog park, gazebo and grilling area, and make sure that all of the sidewalks are ADA accessible. So here's a before and after example of very similar project. This is a 100% project-based Section 8 property in La Puente, California. The photos on the left is what it looked like when we acquired the property, and the photos on the right is the after photos of once we completed our renovation. So it'll be the same type of financing that we're doing, proposed financing we're doing for the Monroe Plaza. It's dictated in this example of La Puente. And here's some additional photos of the post-renovation, so you can see the landscaping, seating areas to kind of create a community for tenants to hang out. The photo on the right, you'll see the access points to make sure it's only tenants that are accessing the property. As well as just trying to make it look like it's a modern market rate property. Just because it's affordable housing, there's no need. It needs to look like affordable housing. That's something we really push and strive ourselves to achieve behind the project. So the bond request for approval today, us, the sponsor SDG, is requesting the Green Bay Housing Authority to approve a $27.5 million tax-exempt bond issuance for the renovation of Monroe Plaza Apartments. As outlined in our standard renovation scope of work and photos of completed affordable light tech renovations, the rehabilitation of Monroe Plaza will provide a superior, affordable housing property in Green Bay. With your approval, it will help ensure the financial feasibility to manage the affordable property to the highest standards for its senior low-income residents and to preserve its rent affordability for current and future residents for years to come. And then here is a letter of reference from the Catholic Charities of Kansas City. Just want to include this. We did 3 projects, the tree purchase one during COVID, pretty similar projects to Monroe, located right in downtown Kansas City, and we went through the difficulty of renovating this during peak COVID times. So we have a really good relationship with them, and this is just a letter of reference that they gave us. So thank you all very much for giving us some time today on the floor. And there is my contact information. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
have a quick question. Do you have properties in Sturgeon Bay, Door County?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Do you have properties in Door County?
No, this is our first time going into Wisconsin.
Okay.
Or first.
So we have a lot of properties in Missouri and Tennessee. We have a pretty big presence in the Midwest, but this is our first time going into Wisconsin.
It is, thank you.
I have a couple of questions, Michael. I know we spoke earlier that, you know, we've had some challenges with this property, right, through the city with inspection and some inspection complaints and some other things. So do you plan, does ACC, that your management company, do they plan to be on site, located on site? And how many
Yeah,
staff do you think
they'll be
you'll have
on
on
site.
site? Can you tell me how many staff you think you'll have, like, actually on site at the
Yeah,
building?
they're actually conducting interviews right now. So we will have, I think it'll be roughly six.
Six?
Roughly two people in the office, a service coordinator, two people on the maintenance side, and then a janitorial.
And will that be daily, Monday through
Yes.
Friday? Okay.
Monday through Friday.
Another question I had for you is, do you plan on doing any remodeling of the units themselves? And if you are going to remodel, like, the inside of the units, how are you going to manage those tenants? Are you going to move them around? Is there any relocation involved in this, or?
Yeah, so there will be some unit work, and that scope will be determined a little bit later. I do have to walk every single unit, go understand exactly what we're dealing with. But there'll be no permanent relocation, it'll just be temporary relocation. And how we've done this in the past, it seems to be the most effective. We'll hold a couple vacant units during the rehab, so we could just, instead of calling them hotel units, we'll furnish, move them down there for 3 nights, then go up and redo their units and move them back. So it keeps them on site, keeps, they know where they are. So that is typically how we will do the relocation for a senior tower. And this, with it being a HUD property, we have to go with an extensive relocation plan presented to HUD, as to follow their regulations, and they have to get their sign off for that. So it's going to follow.
Yeah, we did, full disclosure, we're going through that ourselves as the housing authority on our high-rise. So we did the same thing, we kept units vacant and then just kind of moved people around to make that all work, so that's, we understand that, how that works.
So
It's all
you,
very difficult.
Yes.
Michael, super excited to see some reinvestment in for North Monroe. That's fantastic. If you haven't walked the individual apartments yet, how'd you get to 27 mil?
The question was.
So what is your scope of work that you're identifying as $27.5 million worth of project if you've still not surveyed the apartment? Like, how are you getting to the dollar value? I guess what are you doing with the $27.5 million that's on the bonding request? I mean, I saw tuck pointing, some public spaces. You're not sure the scope of work in the apartment yet?
We have a general idea of the scope of work with the floorings, cabinets, but it's not 100% dialed in. And then they'll come down when we walk with architect and the GC. But it will include a rehab for the units. And Linda, do you mind just kind of
Yeah,
find some
I just turned the mute on. This is Linda Templin, and we're assisting in a role as Wisconsin Bond Counsel for this project. We asked for a non-amount, but the bond undoubtedly will not be quite that large, because our next step, once we get an initial resolution, will be to go to WIDA to get volume cap for the project. And so they generally discount that. So those numbers are going to move a little bit. We used an aggressive not to exceed amount that would be ideal. And the importance of this particular resolution is that it's a first step that ensures that if the company proceeds and uses any kind of bridge financing, that can be refinanced with bond proceeds when the bonds are issued because we have this resolution in place. At this point, it is the first of 2 resolutions by the authority and a resolution by the city of Green Bay. And so we will be working through more of those details, have more information for you on that. And undoubtedly, when we come back with the final resolution, it will be some other amount. It won't be 27.5. Of course, we want to maximize it to the extent that we can.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, I just want to make sure that was answered.
No, that's right, so just the initial resolution is
Yep,
what we're actually.
like this is phase 1,
Yeah.
so once we get to the final, they'll have those costs defined and better.
Opportunity to see the scope of work involved and the related costs.
Yep,
before
when we come
final
back with
fund.
the other resolutions, then we'll have maybe more defined scope with regards to your units. Okay.
And what actual work is going to be done and renderings and all that, whole works.
And so then I'm assuming that you're gonna add additional accessibility to these units that you're modifying, so hopefully we'll have more units with wheelchair access through it if you're modifying. It's just something that we need in Green Bay, and so if you're modifying and you can add more to the units there in regards to barrier-free showers, that would be a great help.
Got it, understood. And that's something we always, will meet at least the HUD standards of 5% for the units to be fully accessible.
Yes, but going over and above that 5% is always nice and helpful, so people can age in place, so,
Understood.
thank you. HUD rules are great, but they're pretty stringent.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any other questions? Linda, always, it's nice to see finally a face to a name. I've dealt with Attorney Albrecht and yourself, read many of your documents over the years, so nice to see you, thanks for Zoom, nice to see a face attached to a name. So, but thank you for the information. Again, anybody else have any further questions on this?
Looking forward to seeing
Any,
more.
so I would
Sorry,
move,
one quick one, what kind of timeline are we talking about?
Yeah, could you share your timeline with us?
I think, Michael, you're going to be closing on the land or on the building. Do you have a date certain for that?
We'll be closing probably within the next 60 days. You know, we've had everything into HUD right now, so we just have to do a review process. It can take upwards of 6 months. So we submitted that earlier this year. So we'll be closing, I would say, within the next 60 days, and then we will be submitting our application for the tax credits. December, I believe it's December 6th is when it opens up.
I think this summer then, really what that means is we won't be closing on the acquisition with bond proceeds because we won't have that volume cap yet. But I believe that we just said that they would be in a position at the end of June to let us know how much of volume cap we can get on our application. And then the next step would be to get a commitment from the bank that's going to be the lender. And once we have that, we start documentation. And the documentation, as you know, you got to keep a lot of toner in your printer. And we circulate the bond documents. Banks Council will circulate bank documents to the parties that need those. We will come back to you for a TEFRA hearing and for consideration of the final resolution when the documents are in substantially final form. And we will have to also go to the city of Green Bay because they give the actual TEFRA approval, which must be given by a highest elected official. And the authority can't give that TEFRA approval. So I would say from the date that we know the volume cap and we have a commitment letter in hand, let's say that's July 15th. We would be in a position to close probably mid-September, something like that.
Okay.
So you'd start the actual remodel then this year or next year?
It'll be next year for us to get the credits.
Because you'll have the credits in December and then they award them in the spring, right? So sometime next spring, summer, you'd start the actual relocation or rehab, okay?
And we'll have about a year where we will be the ownership prior to the construction starts, so we can help kind of work on some of the, dire needs
Yep.
in the meantime.
Great,
To get, everything in place ready for
yep.
full renovation.
All right, any other questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to close the floor?
Motion to close the floor?
I have a motion and a second to close the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you both very much.
Yep.
Any discussion, any questions here before the commission, the board, about the project?
I think it's a great opportunity. We've really been struggling with this building
Yes.
for a while. It's a lot of units downtown, right? And it's really important to provide this type of housing for our tenants, our
Good
low-income tenants in
location for
Green Bay.
this, yep.
Good location, so we're all in favor, like as the staff, we're really in favor of this project and are looking forward to moving forward.
All right, I will make the motion then to adopt Green Bay Housing Authority Resolution Number 2025-1, initial resolution regarding housing revenue bond financing for Monroe Plaza Housing 1 LLC project.
I will second that.
We have a second.
I'd just like to say,
Yeah.
when I was the city alder, this was in my district,
Yes.
and there was a lot of issues with this facility. I mean, security issues and bed bugs and management issues, and it was, I heard often from my constituents. So something like this is long overdue, and I'm really looking forward. This is really exciting. I think
Yes.
it'll be great for the city and great for the tenants.
All right, anybody else have any comments before I move forward? Otherwise, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch, thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Back here.
So he's gone now. So the reason I asked about if they had any indoor counties, I had we had a suit with them. I worked with a consumer with ACC Management out of Oshkosh. Is that him?
I think, no, I don't think so.
ACC is the management company.
ACC?
That's a separate management.
Okay, and so they will be overseeing Monroe Plaza?
Yes, that's the company that they're using to oversee.
They really need education. I mean, it was the simplest thing they could have done to accommodate a person with a hearing loss. And they fought us for a year, and finally EEOC, found with the consumer, and they had to spend tons of money to rectify it when they could have done it in a month with, $50. It was awful. They were just awful, from management, from Oshkosh down. They were just awful. So, do we have any say with who's managing it, if we're, or not even just managing, but that they get the right education? Because it wasn't just the manager. At first, I thought it was the manager who hung up on me when I first talked to her. We know what we're doing. Then it was management in Oshkosh also. So it was just like, oh my gosh, this is so basic. It was just a fire alarm thing. It's the most basic thing that you could ask for as a tenant, and took her a year to fight, yeah.
I think for sure that we can follow up with them and
Yeah.
discuss that,
Yeah.
discuss those issues that you brought up
Yep.
here as well.
Yeah.
I think internally, working on the landlord side with property management, landlord reference checks, I think we can hopefully create a collaborative where we can share useful information.
That'd be great.
Because they do not share
They
information
don't
on
share
their.
any information. All they give us is the tenant's name and their lease dates.
ACC Management? No,
Yes.
Yeah, they are just.
They will not answer any of our
Mm.
questions. so
Well,
maybe
I
that's
feel like
something
they're
that
not here to defend
Yeah,
themselves.
correct. You're right. You are
I mean, if it's
correct.
something that in
I think we
discussion,
can-
just
yeah.
bring it up, that
Yep.
there's been past concerns with this management company.
With how, right, the policies
Correct.
behind management, and we can
And
talk
it's
about
truly
that.
just accommodating people with disabilities.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
And we
It's very
have,
important.
we currently have 6 people, and they have more units, and they're only planning to have 6 people.
But if you add our 48 units, then we're at the same.
I forgot about those. You work on them every single day.
Anything further on the, this resolution? Again, it'll be back in front of us a number of times before this.
Right, right. And I meant ERD, not EEOC. I was just reading something on EEOC this morning, so, yeah, Equal Rights Division, so.
Okay. All right, then let's move on to consideration of possible action on approval of the annual Civil Rights Certification, Resolution 20-25-3. Skip one.
This is something that we're supposed to do annually for HUD regulations. This is just saying that we're going to follow Civil Rights Act of 1964, which we've signed multiple years. So this is a very basic thing. We like people's civil rights. So.
All right, I
It's a civil
will
thing to do.
make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-03.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we move on to resolution number 2. Consideration with possible action on approval of the GBHA operating budget and budget resolution number 2025-02 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025. Stephanie?
So, so that was in your packet.
Yep.
We really don't have much going on for Mason Manor. There's just some finalized stuff because we have not finished up all of the renovations, so we have not closed out that yet. As for our revenue bonds, there it is. We do have money coming in for that, and if we do this new bonding, we'll get about $27,000 a year more for those. So that is nice. We will be moving money from our revenue bonds this year into the COCC, which is where Cheryl and I and any overhead management gets paid for, just to help shore up that budget. We might not need it, but I don't know exactly how with enterprise and that project, because right now we're taking a small amount every month, but it is supposed to work that we're supposed to get a bigger amount, but not sure how that looks yet, since we are just not even through the audit for them yet. Year one, so we're still learning a few things, but otherwise the budget is not really, for COCC, is not really out of line of where it's always been.
Just as an aside, kind of carrying over from this bonding resolution, how many, do you have a rough figure of the total we have outstanding? And this one's 27.5 million potentially. What do we have outstanding from other projects that are ongoing, if you know?
You mean the bonding amounts?
Yes.
I don't have any of that because that is all on them.
Okay.
So whether they're making their payments or overpaying or underpaying, I wouldn't know any of that information because they're responsible. We are never
We could look
responsible
up
for
the
that.
initial bond amount though for these
Yep, I
projects.
can give you the original, but I don't know
That's what
where
you're
they would
looking
be.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious as to
Okay.
what we have out there. Saying, well, didn't we pay off, or not we pay off, but didn't the bonds for the Holy Cross Sisters?
Yep, that was paid off a long time
Yeah,
ago.
that's the one that comes to mind.
We currently only have 3 bonds open.
Okay.
There are 2 with University Village Housing.
Yep.
One was a refinance that was done in 2020, and then there was a new one in 2023. And then we have the Gateway Collective.
Okay.
The 2020 refinancing was for $5.2 million. The 2023 new structure was for $38.4 million, and Gateway Collective was for just a little over $12 million.
Okay. Well, it's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, that's a lot, but it's not bad in terms of what,
We're not at our cap.
You could bake it up
Right?
that.
We don't have a cap.
Oh,
It
we
actually
don't have
goes, it goes through the WIDA,
Oh,
it goes through WIDA and how their structure and funding, that's why they have to get that number from them.
From them.
Sure.
So we don't have a cap, so
Okay.
let's keep them coming in.
So any further questions about the budget?
I look at all these items, and they're all zeros. Is that,
That's
and it looks
because-
like the year before was the same. Is that, I mean,
Yep,
why do we have all these counts?
It's because if you look, In Mason Manor, because I use one spreadsheet, and since in prior years, we had stuff through Mason Manor, once Mason Manors all go to zeros next year, because we will no longer have them, then a lot of this will go away.
Randy, the spreadsheet's older than the switch to the Section 8 stuff.
Yes,
Ah.
part of the Section 8 switch.
Ah, okay, just struck me as, okay, budget, what was this?
You
Seemed
were
weird.
fortunate enough not to be around when we had to go through all of that.
Right.
Okay. So, is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second? We have another second. All in favor, or before we vote, any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution 2025-02 is approved. All right, moving on to item number 4, consideration with possible action on awarding the audit contract to Hawkins Ash for 2025, 2026, and 2027 with an option for 2 one-year renewals.
All right, so we went out for RFP with purchasing, we got one response.
Oh,
Really? That's surprising.
Yep. Because we're now considered small.
oh,
Oh,
We're not big enough to generate enough money. But with that, the audit cost did come back in for the annual audit fee for 2025 will be $17,000 for that. And that is for the current, like what is left of Mesa Manor, the COCC and revenue bonds. It has gone up since the last one we did, which was pre-COVID. And across the board, audit services have almost doubled.
Yes.
It's just, it's the way that it is. You can't fight it because it's happening everywhere.
Right.
I had actually been reached out by another nonprofit. They asked what we got our bid back for because theirs doubled. And they're
Yes.
like, well, what? I'm like, ours almost doubled. It's not quite, but yeah.
And they're doing the same thing. The regulations haven't changed. They're doing pretty much the same thing, but it's just
everybody
the way of
else
the
is doing
world.
the same.
Every
Just charging.
municipality I represent has had the same sticker shock.
Have
Yeah.
you guys tried to buy a cheeseburger lately?
It's twice what it used to be, right?
that's twice the cheese.
So,
Do we need to repeat this exercise on the properties 1 version 2? Do we have to audit separately?
no, it's actually included in this and we do it as one and then we just bill them for their portion.
Okay.
Okay, split. Yeah.
Got it.
Right.
So the same auditor is doing 1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Are there any further questions?
Do we have any choice here if there's only one?
Only one.
And audit is kind of required.
Well, and with that, that was a question that Bill had asked before. He had asked about our audit, if it was in our bylaws. It's not in our bylaws, but HUD requires it, so
Yes.
we have to have it.
Oh.
So,
Hawkins Ash did in the last one, didn't they?
yes, they are the incumbent.
How long have they've been Hawkins and Ashley?
I've been here 12 years and they've been my
Always
auditors
been,
the whole
yeah.
time.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion is there, and we have a second for Hawkins and Ash, or Hawkins Ash to do the next 3 years audits.
Technically, it's 5 years because we
5,
could.
well, yes,
With the 2 ups.
with
Yeah.
the two, yes. Any further questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to the informational part of our agenda. GBHA bills, they're in your packet.
4 months with the bills.
Yeah.
But if you look, they're very small amounts on each one because we don't do, not much runs through here, so.
So is there anything significant that we need to see stuff? Okay.
Not really, we're paying for wages, to the city, and then we have, I think the other one that we pay regularly is LSS, which their contract will be coming to a close soon, also because the grant year would close out.
So where is LSS on it? I mean, are they managing anything?
When we applied for a HUD Ross grant, a resident service coordinator.
Yes.
We contracted with Lutheran Social Services to provide that staff
Gotcha.
member at our
Yes,
project.
yes, she was good. I liked her.
Okay,
I didn't
all
realize
right.
she was LSS.
Any further questions on the bills? Hearing none, then we'll move on to the GBHA financial report. Again, Stephanie, this is back
It's
to you.
my show. Were there any questions on it? It is a pretty standard report, there isn't much running through here, so.
No. I didn't see anything that raised any questions for
All
me.
right, and we're almost through the end of our year because that ends the end of this month, and then we'll start audit stuff because now we have auditors.
Yay.
All right. Okay, any further questions on the financial report? Hearing none, then we'll move on. Cheryl, we'll get you to the director's report.
Great, so this afternoon at the Redevelopment Authority, there'll be a development agreement proposed for 41-unit, single-family development on Deutscher.
Yeah.
Called Pines, kind of behind the Red Cross-ish on Monroe.
Okay.
That's a new area that a developer wants to do 41 single families there. So that's some new development that's happening. There's going to be an open house for the fort. I don't know if you guys have been through that or not.
What's the fort?
The fort is on Broadway.
One over by Voyager.
It's their official grand opening, which is July 1st. I'll email this to the board members
Okay.
from 12:30 to 3. That's on Donald Driver Way, but it's part of the rail yard development.
Yeah.
So that is finally completed, and they're renting that out.
Do you know how they're doing for filling that up?
Last time we talked, it was pretty good. I think there were some reps here during the draft that we did a walkthrough, and they had a new team in there, and they were filling as we speak, so.
Were they, is
Assuming
it
that-
multi-level income?
Yes, yeah, there's a lot of units there.
Oh, really?
It's, I think this is the one that stalled for a while.
Yeah,
That
the
had
Stonehenge, the Stonehenge of
I
Green
know that
Bay.
was-
Yeah.
We walk, we walk past it all the time.
Yes.
I don't know if they have a lot of turnaround, I'll be honest, because we walk past there daily. And all the units on the bottom had stuff on their porches and people were living there, and now there's like 5 or 6 with everything gone, windows open.
Yeah.
And where is this?
It's on the corner.
Voyager Bakehouse on Broadway?
Yes.
On Broadway, it's,
On Broadway.
Encompass is right
North
here, and then it's
Broadway.
across.
Across from the
Kitty
old
corner.
Bertrand's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the old.
I gotta drive home that way.
Was it Gary?
Yeah.
Wow, no, I did not know. I didn't know it's not in town anymore.
Big building, can't miss it.
Wow, that's good. So is it before the community shelter or is it the
Oh,
outside?
yeah, no, before.
Before.
Well,
Okay, so if I would turn on Dousman and go down.
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
So that'll be their grand
Do you
opening.
know how many
Also,
accessible units are in there? I'm sorry, I just always, I have concerns.
I do not
with-
know.
Okay,
I cannot tell you that, but.
Okay.
but-
Quite a few.
okay,
Um,
good.
So, and I continue to work with Gorman, the developer for the JBS site. He's looking at doing 95 units out by Imperial Lane, that whole new
Okay.
subdivision we're setting up. Those will be under 80% of median income, kind of workforce units that are going on out there, so we continue that.
Is that with the company? With
Gorman.
the- No, with Gorman, but is that with?
JBS.
Yes,
That's the JBS
yes, that's right. I remember
Yep.
that one.
So we
Okay.
continue to work on that. Hopefully,
That's great.
we'll bring that development agreement to the redevelopment authority at their July meeting. And I think that's about it, unless you want to give an update on where we are with our.
I was just gonna ask her if she.
Yeah, I kind of was going to include that in the occupancy, but to add, this 2-3 weeks ago, we did our full building bed bug inspection, and for the 3rd quarter in a row, we were bed bug free at Mason Manor. Huge.
Congratulations.
Good job.
But if you would like, I can just pop into kind of some of our occupancy numbers. Sorry, I had to write them down because there's a lot. So, for the year to date, since January 1st to today, we've had 14 Mason Manor tenants move out, and that was just either they needed to move on to assisted living, they moved out of state, Mason Manor was no longer able to fit their needs. But with that being said, we have leased up 30 new tenants, so that doesn't include our relocated or in our hotel units. That's 30 brand new individuals new to Mason Manor and 23 transfers. So 53 leases we have so far signed and done that entire process. For scattered sites, we've had 5 move-outs this year, and then the year-to-date lease up for scattered sites, we've had 6 new families join our program. And let's see, so and then we have filled 5th floor with brand new tenants. That was kind of like the new quad of all new tenants. So that is 11 new lease ups this week that we have filled. The week of July 11th, we will have 11 new individuals at Mason Manor. The week of July 28th, that will be an additional 11 individuals. And then mid-August, we will have another 11. So that just in upcoming weeks, we will have 33 brand new tenants. So
that means that we had
We're busy
33 units available, correct?
right now we do, but we have all of them. We have what, at least 22,
They're all
28 of
pretty
them
much
assigned.
filled with someone going in there.
Yes, we're just waiting on getting the certificate of occupancy, pass the HQS inspection. But to say have been busy, it is an understatement.
Yeah.
You can tell by all the stamps that we've.
I drive by Mason Manor every day and I see it, there's just a constant stream of stuff.
So they are really starting to wrap up as they're projected to be done end of August. Our landscaping went in within the last month. It is gorgeous.
It looks
Like,
so-
it is so
it looks
beautiful. They are tearing up the parking lot in 2 phases.
been
We
fun.
started this week and we'll go into next week and then the following week. But all new blacktop and parking and striping and new sidewalks. It's just really gorgeous. And now we're kind of taking the tape off the floors and like showing our, beautiful floors that we've been hiding for the last like year.
Yes.
Our new workout facility, all that equipment will be delivered the week after July 4th. And then 2 weeks later, the entire week it will take to deliver and set up all of our new common area furniture. So we are very
Sounds
We're
great.
working on the art phase
Yes,
now,
we're working
right?
on the art case, but
You
You
it is
have a
gorgeous.
tentative, open house type of thing?
That we can-
done?
We are planning one, we do not have a tentative date.
Okay.
yet.
But I think we're looking September, right?
Okay.
I think we thought
Yeah.
in September, so.
Yeah.
We had a tenant that moved out a few years ago and he came just to do a showing because he's on the wait list. He was like, wow, it's so bright in here. Like, he was so impressed. He really think we did a really great job and he can't wait to come back.
That's
We're
great.
really proud of it. It looks great.
Wonderful, wonderful,
Great.
wonderful.
I just wanted to give an update too. For the last probably 8 to 9 months, have been serving on a committee appointed, I think, by the mayor, but it's for the Community Land Trust.
Yes.
And after, like I said, 9 months of working on bylaws and policies and procedures and stuff, that was recommended to move forward with the city. I think it goes back to, I'm not sure exactly what the next step is, but that's got, whatever the startup committee was, it got unanimous approval. There were, I think there were like 25 people on that committee, which was
That's a lot.
almost unmanageable, but.
Why so many?
Well, but just from different people with interests like Habitat for Humanity, obviously the city, Noel Halverson from
NeighborWorks.
NeighborWorks kind of spearheaded all of it. And it's going to, the Community Land Trust will run through NeighborWorks. They will be the sort of tip of the spear type of thing in moving it forward. Now it's just a matter of how to fund it, I guess.
Right.
So I don't know if you know anything more about it. What it is.
Well, I think, we have land,
Yes.
of course, that we could, individual lots that we could designate for a land trust, but you have to fundraise some money or find some money up front to help cover those first initial gaps. When you build a house and sell it for affordability, you've got that gap.
And, yeah, so in general, the way it works is that the property, if you buy that house through the Community Land Trust, it stays in the Community Land Trust. And there's, if the property goes up in value, you get, as a buyer, you get some of that appreciation, but it also stays, so you're selling it to somebody else that's gonna do the same thing, that's gonna be in the Community Land Trust. So it's a really interesting concept. And Door County has one. The guy who ran the program for us is from Minneapolis, and they have a big one there.
And is that something where you own the home but not the land?
Right.
Is that how it goes?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Should keep
It's a
the
little,
housing costs down.
yeah, it's a little more complicated than that operationally, but that's generally it.
Yeah.
So if you want to leave, you sell it, but you sell it, the land trust's interest in it, it could be as much as 80% of the value.
Right.
That stays with the land trust,
Sure.
so.
So is that like a co-op?
Not
No?
really, no.
Okay, I was just wondering, because they have a lot of those in Michigan, so.
Yeah.
He presented at the RDA last week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you get in on a lower value out of the trust, but then you only see 40% of the assets, the growth over your.
It's
It was
something,
smart,
but it's something.
But
Yeah.
it's keeping it low.
It helps.
It's really meant for someone who would probably not ever be able to own a home.
Right, yeah, that's
Buying it on the
exactly right.
market, so it
Yeah.
gives you the ability to own that home and share the equity with the
That's
trust,
great.
It
basically.
seemed like a super cool program.
It is. We've seen, we had presentations from other community land trusts around the country, and they're like, why didn't we do this sooner?
Right, I think it's fine.
And if we own the land and we don't like what the property owner's doing, we can arrest them for trespassing every time they try to do that.
Potentially, yes. I don't know. All right, so,
Randy?
yeah, we've kind of gotten our occupancy, Cheryl, anything more?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
Occupancy report's already been done, so we look for, next meeting date is Thursday, July 17th.
Or you just say that.
Yeah.
Well, depending on, we'll have to move, like this bonding is a process,
Yes.
right? So there'll
Okay.
be a couple more
We have to
resolutions.
adjust accordingly.
Yep.
All right, so next we have adjournment. We are ripe for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn it.
Now we have the Green Properties one next.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not
Not
done.
done yet.
Take that hat off.
We wrote one.
All right,
Yeah,
so
so
we have a
that's-
motion, did we have a second?
Yep.
We have a
Yes.
motion, a second, all in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody's opposed, so we are adjourned.